Hey, you're live.
Hey.
Hello.
Welcome,
Yay.
everybody, to our belated December 2023 live show for Three Body Problem.
Woo.
Woo. Happy New Year.
Yo.
Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you all had a lovely Christmas. And do you want to go around? If you're here, you know who I am, but we'll go around in a circle that way.
Hey, hello. My name's Steph from Coffee Over Apples. We've been doing this for a long time now. Check it out. Sci-fi, horror, a lot of fantasy planned for this year. And yeah, that's it. There's Mel.
Hi, I'm Melody from Strawberry Lemon Books. Really like sci-fi and fantasy, and yeah, Jessa.
Hi, I'm Jessa from Gavin with Jessa. Do a lot of book and movie content of a variety of sorts. And yeah.
Woo.
So, yeah, I feel like this one was quite divisive from at least what I've read on some people's reviews in terms of content and in terms of maybe just what people expected from this book. But if you want to, do you want to start with a rating, what everybody gave out of 5 so we can get a baseline?
Ooh. Let's go first.
I'm scared to go first. Somebody else.
Okay, I'll go. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay. Mel?
I'm sitting at like a 3 or a 3.25.
Ooh. Am I gonna be the odd one out? I'm sitting at like I'm somewhere between a 4.5 and a 5.
Damn.
Hey, Steph.
I know.
Okay. I gave this one a 3, exactly a 3.
Okay.
I feel like it wasn't what I was expecting
Me
going
neither,
into
not at
this
all.
book. Yeah.
Same.
And I think it's just like not my type of book.
Do you ever feel like when you're getting into reading something, you have to know what it is and get yourself in like the right mind frame to read a certain genre?
Yes.
I feel like I went into this and I was like, hell yeah, alien sci-fi book. And I opened it and it was like, nope, this is cyberpunk. Like almost completely cyberpunk.
Yep.
But saying that, I was worried about, because I know there's an adaptation of it coming out later this year. And considering what it is now, I feel like it's going to be a lot easier to adapt than I probably thought it would have been, because there aren't that many super high sci-fi elements in it. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of explaining going on.
There's a lot of explaining. A lot of explaining.
A lot of like building up, I feel like, for the rest of the
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like the next books are going to feel so different than this one.
I don't know if I'm going to read the next 2, though.
I'm totally going to go buy the next 2 as soon as we're done with this.
I think I'd continue on as well, just because I like to just finish things out, because that's who I am. Even if it takes me years, I'm like, I read one, I'll have to read the other 2 at some point in my life. So
yeah.
I have to reread this one before I read the other ones, which I'm like...
Just read the Wikipedia synopsis, it'll be fine. So, non-spoiler. Does one of the fresh people that's finished it more recently want to give a non-spoiler synopsis of what this series is about?
How the hell do we do that? How do we do that? Well, first of all, Sky's in the chat. Hi, Sky.
Hey.
Oh, favorite sci-fi series of all time. Oh, second book is my favorite.
Statement.
I love that for you.
I think like anything with a found family has to like be there for it to be one of my favorites.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Oh God, how do we talk about this? Okay, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. This like we were saying this off camera, but like I felt like a million things happened, and Max was like nothing happened, and I'm like, what do you mean? So like, but that's valid. That's they're both valid. Okay. How do I say this without spoiling anything?
See, I think that was what the like synopsis of the book was trying to do, but then it just gave the wrong impression of the book.
Yeah.
Okay, alien contact, a dual timeline, kind of between 1960s and 70s during the Cultural Revolution in China and the contemporary time with many physicists. A game, which is the part of all this that I think many of us weren't expecting.
Yeah.
And like exploring alien civilizations and solving scientific quandaries. And like first contact.
Yeah.
That's the best you're gonna get out of me.
I think it really felt like a threefold commentary on different aspects of a cultural overhaul. For sure. I think each of the storylines felt in some way like a cultural revolution that was happening. But yeah, it's really hard to not spoil it and just give the entire book away.
I'm sorry.
Because I don't know, because it says that on the
I
back.
think it says it in the
Does it?
synopsis, though.
To be fair,
In the
that
synopsis?
was pretty good. That was pretty good.
It was
Okay. Sorry, y'all. I tried.
That's the best anybody's gonna get. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. Can we?
So non spoiler stuff. But
How about? Is there a way that the synopsis? Wait, my synopsis is bad, or the book synopsis?
The book synopsis
the books and
is bad.
blurb. Yeah.
The
The blurb is bad.
Okay. Yeah. How about this? Is there a way that we can go around and everyone give a non-spoiler reason why they're giving it that rating?
That's a good idea. Okay, that's a good idea. I think for me, I really liked all the individual pieces of this book, but they didn't feel like they belonged together in the same book. Like I would have loved a story about the Chinese 60s Cultural Revolution with like a sci-fi element to it, or like the idea of this cyberpunk game where there's like this hidden plot extending into real life, and a story about an alien invasion are like three really solid stories. But I feel like the way they meshed in the book, for some reason, I was just like a bit thrown maybe by it, or it was just a bit too much. I don't know. I think it's 3 because it wasn't what I was expecting, and it was maybe a bit too busy.
I think that's fair to say also.
Yeah, I have similar like feelings of that. I think my main thing too is that for me it was hard to connect with the characters. I felt like there was a lot of them, and even though the book does have like a good thing at the beginning with everyone's names and kind of who they do and things like that, I had to keep that like kind of open or in the back of my mind. I'm like, wait, who are we talking about? What exactly did they do again? And that was probably just like a me thing, but the characters were just kind of, while I really do like how the story, I think there were really cool concepts, and I really do like all of the concepts that was brought up in the book. I don't know, there was like high highs and very low lows that I just got like bored at some points, and I'm like, what is happening? And that might have been because of the characters. I just kept getting confused who was who. But I think I do need to just try again, like just sit down, reread it, try again.
Fair.
I think for me, it's like a 3.5, because like going in, I wasn't expecting what we got because the synopsis again is bad. And then also, I don't know, I really like the game part and like aliens. I wanted more aliens. And it was there was a lot of scientific explanation and stuff, which makes sense for a science fiction book, but I lean more towards like the vibes. And it was like too much science vibes for me. But yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I'm just like, this book is way too smart for me.
Yeah,
like, I'm just
like,
not intelligent enough to keep up with this at some point.
Okay, so I really liked it. And I feel like the reason I really liked it was because somewhere around a quarter of the way through, I threw out all expectations I had for this. And I was just like, this feels like someone who grew up watching telenovelas and K-dramas and like C-dramas, and just like it, to me, it was really extra. Like there were so many scenes where I cackled out loud because I was like, okay, this is a trope that I've seen in dramas and like soap operas a million times, but like make it sci-fi and make it smart. And because at the same time, it's like there were not any like dynamics between the characters that really showed me, more so told me what was happening. So every time something dramatic would happen, I'd be like, oh, I totally saw that coming, because that's a typical trope in a soap opera. But then they would talk about sci-fi stuff. So it was like a blend of two things that I really like. So I was just having a blast. I was like, no, you didn't just pull the like coma amnesia thing. I was cracking up. So I had a lot of fun.
I kind of feel, talking about throwing out expectations, this kind of for me was, you know, that recent Predator movie Prey, the really good one.
Yes, but I didn't watch it.
Oh,
which I have to. Right. Yeah, I heard it was really good.
But there's with that, there's, for the first like hour or so of the film, there is no indication it's an alien movie at all, right? But I think that's how this should have been marketed. I think that aspect of it should have been completely left out, because I feel like if I'd gone into this expecting a sci-fi, there's a cyberpunk one, gotten to sort of the 30% through mark, and then been slapped in the face with, oh shit, this is an alien invasion story, or this is an alien themed series, I think that would have really like tickled me the right way. I guess
it's fair too.
Maybe I just needed to have watched more soap operas to enjoy this. Maybe that's my 2024 goal, is watch more trash TV so I can enjoy books.
I'll send you some suggestions for K-drama.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's really fair. Yeah, because I also, like, again, like the whole game part completely threw me through a loop.
But I really liked the game part.
I did too.
I like the game.
I really liked it. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. And I guess like when that happened, I was like, okay, are we really, like, is this it? Is this the alien bit? And then so when we finally got the rest of it, I was kind of satisfied, because I was like, okay, it's coming. Just, I have thoughts about the way that the alien area was structured when we really got deep into it. That's kind of where I feel like I wanted something more, but part of me wants to think it might be addressed in book 2. I don't know.
I think it will, for sure. Yeah. I think book 2 is going to be way more like swung towards that side of the story.
Which is why I can see the second book being a favorite.
Yeah, the second book being really good. Yeah. This is like super not fresh in my head. I'm trying to remember.
That's okay.
What I'm thinking about. Oh yeah, the other thing I thought about was, like I said in the chat, this really felt like it had the structure of a short story, because of like the explanation that was constantly happening, having to keep us like in the loop with the science that was going on. That had the feel of a short story that was like converted to long format.
That's fair too. Hi everybody in the chat.
Hey,
thanks for coming. Let us know if you all read it. I'm pretty sure, I think Sky's name is Sarah, so I'm pretty sure Sarah read it. We know Tina read it. Rover, if you read it, let us know. I'm pretty sure Tina read it. I could be wrong. But yeah, so okay, did you guys have a favorite character?
I liked the past storyline with the woman that was working in the comms center. I think that was my favorite.
Wenji, I think her name was.
Wenji, yeah.
Okay.
She was my favorite, I think.
Okay. I found her super dramatic.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
I don't know. I feel like I didn't connect with any of them.
That's what I was like. If I had to pick one, I'd probably pick, the Wenjing as well. And so, but yeah, it was hard for me to distinguish one particular one that like really stood out.
The one that comes to mind that I remember would be the cop dude.
Yeah, Dashi. I love Dashi. He's so extra. He's so out there. To me, he's like a tank. Like this guy will not die. He gets like almost radioactive poisoning. He like blows smoke into a US official's face and doesn't get punched out. I'm just like, dude, you have a death wish. To me, he read like Kuwabara from Yu Yu Hakusho, but if he was smart, it's just a freaking tank.
And he was like really blunt. And then he would like solve problems without not actually like just being a normal person.
Yeah.
Was that guy's Dashi, that guy's name?
Yeah.
I don't know his name.
I'm sure he's being played by Benedict Wong in the upcoming
that's great
thing.
I did see Benedict Wong's name on the cast, and I'm like, oh, I gotta figure out who he is.
Yeah, the moment for me.
For this show now.
I'm so excited. Do we know when the show's coming out on Netflix?
I think it's like
March 21st.
Oh, March! Nice.
Okay.
I just watched the trailer today. That's the only reason why I know.
I'm so excited. The moment for me that sealed Dashi as like being my favorite character was somewhere in the beginning, where I think Wong walked out of the building where I forgot the name of the person who was like head of the science academy thing, where he first learned about the game, right? He walks out of the building and then like she pulls up in his car and it's just like skirt. So, you know now? And we're just like, bro, where did you come from?
No time to explain. Get in.
Get in the car. You know things now. I was just like, okay. Which like kind of made me suspicious of him the entire time. So like, I don't know if I should still be suspicious of him later, but he just was always at the right place at the right time. Just like, oh, you need someone to do the grunt work? I got you. Just like rolled up. Oh my God, I thought it was hilarious. What else? How do we talk about this without spoilers? If there's something in the chat that you guys want us to talk about that's not spoilery, please let us know because I don't even know where to go with this.
I would have thought that this would have been, considering it was like an invasion or an alien sort of colonization story, that there'd be more sort of colonization stuff in the narrative. Maybe, but it didn't feel like there was. Or maybe that's to come.
I feel like it's to come. Like it was dropped a couple times.
Yeah.
But yeah. What was I gonna say? I feel like something that I was confused about in the beginning, I think just because of the cultural differences that I didn't understand, was I thought that this was some sort of, in a way, a criticism of the Chinese government. But I realized later on that it's not. And in the end, in the like notes from the author, he says that it's not meant to be so much a critique, but that everybody has, because everybody has opinions, everyone has their own like perspective and a way of twisting a narrative to fit whatever their personal ideals are. So that's going to happen regardless.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting.
Sure. I just remembered that I've forgotten to put all of these, like, click all of the messages on screen. And we usually do.
Was the history part to understand? By the end, it was pretty clear for me.
Yeah.
I don't think it was hard to understand, but it was like a history segment that I didn't really have any knowledge about at all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was good to at least get a baseline, you know, like window into something that I hadn't really read up on before.
I think especially because there are segments of the story that, in a way, I don't know if this is something that the author did or that Ken Liu as the translator worked in, because he talks about translating this at the end. But there were some areas where it kind of told us about the nuances of language, especially in Chinese culture. And so like having this entire book really be about communication, that was a very sensitive issue. And I think I needed to do a little bit of digging and understanding to really understand the gravity of why that was such an issue, which is where my confusion came in the beginning about like, is this a criticism of the government? How far can you really speak out? So I think that was the new part for me.
I feel like we're fairly in spoiler territory at the moment. We're like crossed over the spoiler line.
All right.
So open question. If you had got the message that she got, would you have stayed quiet or would you have replied?
AKA, do you trust people or not?
Do you trust aliens from far away or not?
No, do we trust us or no? Are we the who do we trust them? Do we trust us?
Mm-hmm.
If you got the message and the message was like, don't reply, shut up, keep quiet, would you have?
I would have stayed quiet. Like that's
I feel like I'm. Oh, sorry, Steph.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I feel like I'm skeptical about aliens. Like, I think an alien invasion could actually happen, so I would not reply.
That's the part.
Yeah, I feel like I would also not, just because I'm just, I don't know.
Tina, would you send them memes? Okay, yeah, send aliens a meme. Which meme would you send them?
Oh, yeah. That's so hard.
They have to understand, though.
This is even deeper into the nuances of communication when we start sending memes to each other. They'd send the thing and they'd be like, don't reply to this message, keep quiet, it's really important. I'd be like, haha, why? Lol.
Oh my gosh, would you send them Ice Planet Barbarians?
I was about to say the same thing.
Oh my god.
Ice Planet.
If they
have anyone read that, the Ice Planet Barbarians?
I haven't, but
I've heard a lot, but no.
I'm here for the chaos.
Okay, yeah, that's where I'm at too.
I'm
I have
intrigued.
We're gonna have the sci-fi smut sub book.
Yeah,
I'm down. If you guys are down, I'm down.
Listen, 2024 is the year.
I love it. We should start doing themed months, but yeah. No, I wouldn't. I'd be too scared. No way.
I'd reply straight away.
You just scream into the phone.
I'm like, hey, that's it. My parents are out. Come on over.
No way. I mean, I'd probably be skeptical at all, because I feel like even in the beginning when Wang was when he put on the glasses and was seeing those things, and when he was seeing the waves, even then there's something about the fact that humans still had a hand in making these instruments regardless of how much we understand it, that I'm not sure if I still trust that it's not someone just screwing with me. Yeah. So I don't know.
What I feel like this series is going to turn into is going to be, I really feel like it's going to turn into a looking at the bad aspects of humanity by projecting them onto something else. I think it's going to be the aliens come here and they're horrible, and then it's just going to be describing the aliens, the alien civilization is just going to be the things that are already bad here. That's where I can see it going.
Well, by the end of the book, someone please tell me if I'm wrong, the Trisolaran civilization was technically more technologically advanced than us. But like, do we have any idea of like by how much? Because I know that they gave that example at the end.
Or about spinning the like particles or something.
Yeah, that, and then also someone, I forget who, asked about the difference between like locusts and humans, and if that is the difference between them and us. And I think that was supposed to be the answer to my question, but at the same time, the Trisolarans were very much on the cusp of becoming extinct if anything goes wrong. So I'm like, yes, they have technological advancement, but their risk of extinction is also extremely high. So like, does that equal any kind of balance? I don't know.
I guess so, but is that like a holding a mirror up to humanity? Because we're fairly quickly driving ourselves to the edge.
Mm-hmm. Is that the whole
When
point?
was this book written?
2006, I want to say, in the original Chinese. Yeah. And then it came to English translation in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I have this vivid memory of when this book came out, seeing that it was on Obama's reading list, that it was one that Obama really liked or something.
Yeah, he has a blurb on the back of this,
Nice.
the American one.
Hmm.
It just says wildly imaginative, and I'm like, accurate.
You have to say it in his voice, though.
Wildly imaginative. That's what I say.
Nice,
I tried. Okay, any other specific things you guys want to talk about? Or are we just jumping around?
I think that you're just jumping around. I think it's difficult to talk about it because it really does. You get some trilogies where each book feels like a story made to create a bigger overall trilogy, but this really feels like a part of a story and not a complete thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's difficult to rate it as a body of work when we haven't read the whole body of work.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's difficult to even think of things to say about this one.
What I think is interesting about it is that whereas other books that have opened up a conversation about the similarities and differences between science and religion and just leave it open-ended, this one I feel like attempts to close the lid on that a little bit by saying, well, what happens if you use that strategically in order to manipulate somebody? And then that kind of like, I think in a way begs the question of, well, is all of it just manipulation, or is that just the nature of having something that is deemed like higher than, like a higher order thinking of any kind? Is that making any sense?
Yeah, I think so. I do wonder in terms of like you said, using it strategically. I really wonder, with the events in this book, what would it have turned out the same if there was no physical way they could prove the message was from aliens and it was just the government using pretending in order to spark that kind of upheaval?
Right. Well, that's where my distrust comes in, because I'm like, it could have been. And then all of this could have just been a conspiracy theory to get rid of that Evans guy and the whole ship and everything as an excuse.
Right.
That's like scarily believable.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
Worse things happen now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
I find it interesting. Oh, sorry, Mel, go ahead.
Oh, it's not that important though, so you can go.
No, it's okay.
How did that lady's daughter die? I was confused.
Yang Di, the daughter of Wenji,
Yeah.
she committed suicide.
Was it like due to the alien contact? Because I was like, wouldn't her mom want to like save her or like not cause her?
So that's one of the parts where I feel like I wanted more, and why, as much as I feel like I saw similarities to soap operas, I would never hire Cixin Liu to write a K-drama episode because the relationships between people were more of just telling me what happened instead of actually showing them building any kind of relationship. And I kind of wanted to see, okay, yes, Weiji is pregnant now. What does that mean for her as far as like being self-conscious, her morality, And we don't really see that, but I think we know inadvertently that because she started this whole contact thing and like blew it up, that she is inadvertently responsible for her daughter killing herself, because we don't know if she told her daughter what happened, but we know that her daughter was one of the physicists who was aware that, okay, humans are like insects. We don't stand a chance. What do I do with this information?
Okay.
I think if we'd had more exploration into that, it would have really lent to that thing that I think the book was trying to do of exploring the line between I'm a person doing the right thing or think I'm doing the right thing and like zealotry, where somebody is so adamant that theirs is the only way that they just stop caring about everything else. And I think if we had that, like you said, relationship built up with her daughter and seeing that just be thrown away, that could have really lent to that.
Yeah, that's one of the few areas in this that I wanted more of.
Yeah, for sure.
And also like Wang's wife, poor lady, was like stressing out in the beginning because he's running around having a panic attack. He thinks that his life, he's like the world's gonna end, whatever, you know, before he understands anything that's going on, and we never hear from her again. I'm like, dude, give me that relationship. Show me the feelings.
I think in the adaptation there'll be more room to explore like individual characters for sure.
Yeah. So that was the daughter committing suicide was the plot twist in the plot twist that wasn't really addressed but insinuated, I think.
Yeah, it was glossed. It felt like it was glossed over very quickly.
Yeah,
for sure. Do you think, in terms of this woman replying to that message so quickly, what do you think about single people being elect representatives of entire bodies of people that don't know the full picture? I feel that was something the book was trying to comment on as well, in that she just elected herself as, okay, I can make this decision for everybody else because it's the best decision.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just like kind of reminded me of like, because I don't think that should be, I think even if there's one maybe representative, they should have like a team of people that come from all sorts of walks of life. I don't know, it kind of reminded me of like Mockingjay, like back in the Hunger Games when like, you know, you're like, okay, cool, we won. And then President Coin is like, okay, I'm in charge now. And I decide that we are going to have like an honorary Hunger Games or whatever for like the capital kids, because that's what all the districts want, right? It's like, that's what we want. And it's like, I mean, I know they had the victors that were kind of there to like, with that like body of people, but it kind of like reminded me a little bit of that, and how just because you think something's a good idea or you think that's what's best for people, it should not just be up to like one individual.
Yeah, I think it would be nice to be like kind of like was it called The Deep Sky, the book we read last month, where every like country had representatives, but like the caveat would be you wouldn't have to pay for a spot.
Yeah, I agree. I had a thought and I lost it.
No, get it back. What do you think about the side plot that was going on with that Mike Evans guy? I couldn't figure out what exactly the commentary was that it was trying to give with that.
I feel like it was just following somebody blindly, because I feel like he came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He came out of left field, and then Wenji was like, oh, here's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy from the West who's spouting all the things that I've been thinking. And I'm a very depressed woman who's been dealing with a lot of stuff. Take the wheel, my man. And then that's kind of like what I felt like I understood happened. But then again, that happens a lot. So I think that was just another layer of potential commentary on organized religion.
I think it felt as well like he was he was trying to do something that was small and good, and then it all got taken away from him, and then he was like got this kind of fuck it mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's a commentary about trusting people in times of pain and giving power to the wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think she was definitely a dangerous person to invest in. But
Yeah.
because he was in that like fuck it mindset, he was like, oh yeah, I'll fund it, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And by that time, that was the second time that she kind of gave away a lot of power.
Yeah.
Between the contact with the aliens and him, she's like, here's just another person who's entered my circle and is potentially has more power to do something with the things that are bothering me. So here you go. Like, here's my blessing or my resources or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was annoying. I want to punch him in the face.
Yeah, he was annoying.
Who are you?
Just stay in the woods and play with your birds.
Rich millionaire guy who wants to save the world but also has no moral compass. Get out of my face.
Right.
That was something I thought was interesting when they had like the meeting and they said it was everybody from like the upper class or kind of had like a lot of money or resources and stuff like that. And I was like, you would think it would be like the poor people who would want to like, yeah, come and take over and make our world better.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's the people who think they're going to benefit from it financially.
Mm-hmm.
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 And also because they were part of that thing that was trying to halt scientific progress and stop information being disseminated to the public.
The public, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like enshrining yourself in a place of power, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, so in a way, it's that double, I think, layer of the aliens doing that to the upper echelon of society because they're the only ones who are really in the know about anything that's going on. But then getting what they are putting and laying onto the lower classes and the struggling or the more poverty-stricken classes and be like, oh, well, there's a ceiling for us too. But the question is like, are they going to see it that way? Probably not, because everything that they've done, they've kind of already cast themselves out of history at this point. Like I don't know, maybe I need to think that through a little bit more, because it's like while they're funding this and they're doing all of these things to make sure that their personal ideals are being met, in a way it's all very self-serving, even if the words that are coming out of their mouth are that it's not. I don't know, there's like a double-edged sword there.
What I think would have been a really good twist is if that message never came and that woman was just crazy. And all of this happened because that one person was just like mad. That would have been such a good twist, I think. That's the end of the book and it was like, psych!
It's like, none of this happened.
Formulating, it's coming together. Yeah.
I feel like I've seen way too many movies like that, though. I would have been mad. I'm like, not Shutter Island again.
So predictions for the series going forward.
All right. I gotta say this. So the name drop that happened in book 1 of book 2, the Dark Forest, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was during the conversation of those rich people talking about, but like, what do you feel about the Aztecs and like all those ancient like societies that were just kind of dumb? And then the people who had a little bit more of a moral compass saying, well, technically that's the way that you're viewing them is not correct. And then the people who maintained power in the situation or were given like the ability to stay in the know maintained this colonizer view. And so I think the title of the second book is alluding to how the aliens might view the humans as the humans or the rich people were viewing the Aztecs. So
I like that.
And it's a real hypothesis, though, isn't it? The Dark Forest hypothesis.
I think so, yes.
Yeah. It's like the universe isn't empty. It's just very quiet because there's lots of dangerous things out there that are trying not to get eaten.
See, this book is too big brain for me. I don't have the mental capacity for this right now.
It was one of those books where I was reading it. I was like, I would need to read this like 2 or 3 times to fully let everything sink in and to formulate a proper opinion on it. The last time I felt this dumb, I was reading a Gene Wolfe book, which really went over my head. I was like, got halfway through, I was like, I can't do this.
So what made you not have that feeling here? What made you finish?
The idea that maybe book 2 and 3 will clarify things. The feeling that this was a bit of a story and that I'm not done with it, so I don't really have the right to call it a bad story, or because I haven't finished it. So I think I will read the others, and then I'll get to the end, and then I'll either be like, that's what was happening, and it was good. It was good after all. Or I'll get to the end and I'll be like, I knew it, that did suck. So one or the other. But I will finish it and formulate a proper grown-up opinion.
I love that. So one thing I am worried about the future ones is that I feel like this one, at least for me, I wouldn't say wrapped it up with a neat bow, but there's a bow. It's just kind of like someone just went, and then like, okay, everything has happened. And I'm like, all right, so does this mean that the next book is gonna go into the future and start? Are we eventually going to be at the 400-year mark or something where we get that first contact? Or because of the knowledge that we got at the end of this book about how the SOFONs, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, the particles that are able to instantly transmit, if that's going to lead into some kind of like instant teleportation or travel wormholes kind of thing for them to not have to wait 400 years. And I think that's significant because we spent so much time in this one understanding history, and like the social structure was significant to the way that the characters made their decisions. So if we need to think about or spend time understanding how people are going to think and have social dynamics in the next 400 years, that's a lot of space that might be better used for other things. So I don't know.
That's true. That is true. I did wonder whether they were going to do it like that, like Foundation, where they have like 3,000-year time skips between each book.
I'm curious.
But at the same time, it could be really interesting. But a trilogy is the wrong format to do that in, for sure.
I would have been okay with this being a, what is it called when there's 4 books?
Quadrilogy?
Quadrilogy?
I think so.
Yeah.
Right?
That would have been nice. I wouldn't have minded that if we got more, again, let the relationships play out naturally.
Yeah.
Especially when Wenji married her husband. They're just like, oh yeah, they got married. And I was like, why? He's an ass. Why did you make him? Like, okay. That's fine.
Is this the first translated piece of Chinese sci-fi that people have read here? Or have you read other translated Chinese stuff? This is the first.
Yeah, I've just read like
novel.
manga, which is Japanese, but yeah, this is my first like Chinese translated.
I think this is the first Chinese translated novel I've read, but I've read loads of Chinese translated short stories.
Okay.
But the guy that translated this also did a couple of really good short story translation collections. He did one called Invisible Planets, which was really, really good.
Yeah, if anybody has recommendations for Ken Liu, like where to start with his work, because I really liked the way that he translated this.
Yeah, I like his writing, translation.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it here because like my version has like you get like the prologue or something in the back, and it's not, the second one is not translated by Ken Liu.
Oh, is it not?
It isn't.
It is Joel Martinson.
That sounds frighteningly white, man.
have no idea. But then Ken Liu does come back to translate the last one.
Oh, that's
Okay.
all right.
Oh, what? That's so That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, how odd.
Unless, do you think the second book will be from the aliens' perspective?
I think there'll be bits of it that are. I think it'll have the same like interweaving storylines format, and I feel like one of them is going to be humans from the aliens' perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I lost my thought. Damn it. Sorry. Go ahead. What was I gonna say? I mean, okay. So the whole boat thing, like the nanomaterial part.
Oh yeah.
Part of me feels like that was written in to give this book a sense of action, which it may not necessarily have gotten too much of that point, except for the part with the bomb.
Yeah.
Which I was hysterically laughing, by the way, when they're in the they're at the ambulance talking, and like Wong is talking to Dashi, and he's like, dude, how did you know that she had mommy problems? And he's like, dude, everyone who joins a cult is like either has mommy or daddy issues. Like, what are you talking about? So like scenes like that, I think were thrown in, for me at least, felt like I can feel like at a certain point during the writers like editors meeting being like, okay, dude, there's a lot of expose here. Throw some action, make it interesting. This might be a TV show. What are we gonna see? It's just like,
yeah.
Okay.
It was interesting as well that that's become such a staple of sci-fi that when you get a space elevator, that's it, you've made it.
Yeah.
Like that's when your society can go like Interstellar. All you need is nanomaterials and you're good.
Yep. I don't know how I feel about that part. Like, I don't know if we needed that, because there was so much
subplot with the nanomaterials at all.
Oh, no, that part we needed. I get. We definitely needed the nanomaterials, but the whole space elevator thing, I don't know, that felt kind of out of left field for me. Because we just spent so much right before that, I think, from the aliens' point of view, talking about them creating this particle. And I'm like, really? Space elevator? Give me more. But that's okay. Also, from that same section where we learned so much about the aliens and what happened with their transmission, how much of that can we actually believe? Because it said right before that section starts that Weiji was filling it in with how she interprets it. So we're still getting some sense of bias.
True.
And it is interesting that they'd be able to respond to a message so quickly and instantly convey a language they'd never heard before and all the meaning within it.
I think that could kind of show like how far in advance they are in their society than compared to humans.
Yeah.
I think that's something I would have liked to see a little more of, or maybe a little even if it was another little expose on that of like, okay, if they're more advanced than us, would they have had to dumb down their language in order for us to be able to translate it efficiently?
Maybe.
More aliens.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Yes.
Almost done with annotations. Look how pretty that
Hey.
I could never. Wouldn't have the patience for it. What is it you're annotating?
So green is for questions, pink is for moments that I liked, orange is for plot things, and purple is for random moments.
Yeah, this is a hard one to talk about. And I feel like if people are doing the rest of the series, then we'll be in a better place to talk about it at the end of book 3.
Well, I'm definitely going to continue, and I'm not going to wait on it, because I feel like if I wait, I'm going to forget everything that just happened. Yeah. Because, yeah. It's not like The Expanse, where I can read one book a year and be like, oh yeah, that happened. It's fine. No, this has to happen sooner.
Yeah, I feel like I've always said that I would read like all the series that we've read so far, and I haven't finished any of them.
I feel like Becky Chambers raised my expectations for the series. I just want every single series to be that good now.
That's also fair. Yeah, no, I was enamored with this. I loved it. I don't know. And I can't explain why I loved it. I just had so much fun. Also because it just felt like, to me, like, I feel like Wong in a way is it fair to say that he was our main POV, or like he's not a narrator necessarily, but we got most of this
from through his eyes. Yeah.
It's through his eyes, right? And so I feel like for most of this book, we're getting it from his perspective, but he's also a fly on the wall, because he's just kind of like bouncing around. He's standing in the room. He's just up against the wall like, hi, I'm here trying not to die. Just like, okay, but sir, what do you feel? What do you think? So like, I feel like because of that, he's an extremely reliable narrator, because I never know what the man is thinking. He's literally just like, so this happened. This happened at work today.
I guess so, but in that same breath, I feel like we didn't get a lot of internal opinion from a lot of the characters. And for me, that made me feel like the cast was very 2D.
I agree.
It was more like these people were tools to tell a series of events, rather than characters who we were like actually experiencing the emotions of.
Totally.
And I feel like that's why, like, me personally, I wasn't able to connect with them as much as I would have liked to. So.
Oh yeah, this was. I mean, I feel like it's safe to say that this is 100% plot and 0 character development.
So if you like juicy character development books, don't go into this expecting it.
Yeah.
Do not, because there is none.
Agreed.
Like, everyone is exactly the same person they were when they started. I mean, maybe we could say at some point that we saw Wei Ji's transition the most, but she started in pain and she ended in pain. So it's like still the same.
She
was just murdering people
left and right. Yeah. When she killed her husband, I was like, okay. All right. Like, why did you marry him? Like, okay, I get politically it made sense for her to marry him because she was already an outcast from society, right? He supposedly loved her. We didn't see that though, because in the beginning I was like, this guy's a jerk. Why do you want to be with him? But whatever. We're told that he falls in love with her. Fine. So like, was that ever mutual? They have a kid. Was that out of marriage duty? Like, I don't know what that societal expectations are over there, or what she feels are her duties as a wife, or like what's expected of her as a wife, or even what the dynamic is of working women in China in this time period. But I'm like, why? Tell me why. And she just killed him. And I was like, well, that's dramatic.
But then, like you said, the whole book was very tell and don't show. The whole book. Yeah, I feel like maybe it's just a style thing. Maybe it's a Chinese novel style thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's always hard when you're like reading stuff that's been translated. It's like, is this unusual, or is this the norm for the society it comes from in terms of like content and style?
Right.
Well,
Because
what
I
about?
feel like
Okay, sorry.
go on.
I was just going to ask you, because you said you've read other translated works, short stories, right? So, like, how does this compare to the vibe of the others that you've read?
The others, so for me, the one thing that is ultra pervasive in all the Chinese short stories that I've read is there is this attitude of gracefully accepting the inevitable things that are going to happen. And but so like all of the stories in the collections I read have this element of bad things happening, good things happening, but just coming to terms with stuff, I think, is a really common theme in the stories that I have read.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see that much in here. But I need to read more novels.
Is it though? Because I feel like at the end, when everyone's kind of sitting in that field and the locusts are there and they're kind of, it's settling in that they themselves are the locusts. Is that them coming to terms with things?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
In a way. Like, I am Bug.
I am Bug.
Finally.
And in that same vein is another reason why I personally really love Dashi, because there is a conversation that's had at some point with, you know, the whole juxtaposition of I forgot, there's a word for it, but I can't remember what the word is. But like being fearful and having an existential crisis in knowing that you will never know all that there is to know, and Dashi just being like, dude, I'm never gonna know it. So why am I gonna worry about it? Give me another cigarette.
This is
so,
so chill.
Yeah, and I feel like that in a way is something that all of our characters kind of struggled with in different forms or fashions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, does it really change anything to know that there might be a world-ending war in the next 400 years that you or your children will never see? How would you live your life differently?
I guess.
That's fair.
But saying that, I think one constantly historical issue with Western society is that people only look to accomplish things within their own lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't really care about what happens afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas especially in Eastern societies, you have a lot of goals that are multi-generational, and you die and you're like, I won't see the end of this, but at least I've laid the foundations for other people to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the point that I was trying to make.
No, I think that's valid. It's like, can humanity on a mass scale do that? I mean, the same question can be asked now of global warming. Can we do that? Because that's something, I mean, yes, we have a timeline in a sense where there's like no turning back, and that some of us may see that in our lifetime, but we may or may not see the actual outcome of it. And so how does that affect the decisions that we make now? Can we not be selfish?
I don't know. The hard ask stuff.
Yeah. Aim a little lower, please.
That goes to the also just thinking about like, well, I'm just one person. If I change and no one else does, it's not going to matter. So it also can kind of think about it as like coming from inside. It's like, oh, should I still do this just because I know it's a good thing and hopefully maybe others will pick up on it? Or should I not even bother because I, as my one single self, can't change the world in the way that it needs to?
I feel like that comes down to these really small daily decisions at the end of it. Like, even if it's something as minute as don't choose not to throw that trash on the floor right there, you know, or like choose not to do that thing if it's within your means.
Right.
And it's like, I don't know. I think turning it into a sense of personal joy in a way, at least for me, is helpful. Of like, I know I did the right thing and that brings me joy. But again, it all comes back to the sense of like self, and that in a way it might be a selfish decision because I'm choosing to do that because it brings me personal joy, which is what's important to me. And Weiji was just like, I'm out. Fuck everybody. Fuck everything. I don't care.
When you accept I am bug, that's when life begins.
I mean, yeah. I love that. I love it. Not that sense of grandioseness. But then again, that's probably why none of us are rich billionaires or like Jeff Bezos' children. Yes.
God, I wish I had that absolute psychopath mindset. It's so great.
God. Oh no.
Was,
okay. Go ahead.
No, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say all the ways in which I thought this was a K-drama. You got more.
No, tell us. I'm excited to hear it.
Oh my god. Okay, so like, I don't even know where to start. First of all, it was with Dashi rolling up out of the blue, right? That was just the first one, and then there was all of the evil villain exposés, monologues that happened. I feel like we got at least like 2 or 3 of them, whether it was Pan or Yeji multiple times talking about her evil villain backstory, right? So we got that. Falling into a coma and then waking up and having to go live on a farm in the middle of nowhere and finally find peace and happiness, but then that happiness not lasting too long because the government needs you and like all this stuff, and like you have a rich billionaire person who needs to give you money to do something really big and expensive, but you're just a poor girl from the village. So like that's a really common theme. And then she like, I forgot how she passed out of anxiety. Like she faints, right? And she faints and she wakes up and someone next to her, she turns over and they go, "Oh my God, you're pregnant." And she goes, and I'm just like,
you know, I would have loved if the adaptation of this was like Bollywood and they had like 16, like that happened and they had like 16 cuts of people going like this.
yes. So great, but that's exactly what should have happened. I love it so much. And also, can we talk about how in the beginning when he first goes into 3 body and then the shaman just yeets himself into a pot. Died.
I'm really excited to see that on TV.
So like the shaman eats himself into a pot, and I forget, I think it was the second civilization that he went into where someone else who also failed at predicting the future goes over to look at the pot and still sees the face floating around from the shaman that died, and he's like, well, guess I'm next. Like, okay. Thought it was great.
This is an excellent take. Thank you for this point.
Please rise me. Yeah, so did anyone else? Okay, after you learned that the people were dehydrated husks, the rest of the book, I read the aliens, even though they had names of like Western philosophers and all these ancient Chinese important people, in my mind, they were all loofahs. It's like, why is this a thing?
I would love if they have like in the adaptation they have her send the message, then it cuts back to the alien sending a message, and it's them typing on the keyboard, and they have like beef jerky fingers.
Just like every dehydrated thing that you can buy at a supermarket.
I should have directed this. Stephanie, you should have read this series. It would be so good.
Oh my God. So yeah, maybe that's why I loved it more, because my imagination just went wild with this. And then when they got to the eyes, they were like, oh, well, we don't know what Trisolaris eyes look like. But in my head, I'm like, they're loofahs. They have so many holes, which is why when the eyes were in the sky, they were freaking out. And I'm like, dude, I'd freak out if I had trypophobia too. Oh, that's great. Okay, so what were you gonna say?
Nice. I was just going to ask if anybody had anything else to say about this one. And then you came in with some fire right at the end. Love it. Thank you.
I like hearing about how much of a fun time we had stuff.
I know. It
Like,
makes me
you
feel like
made
I
it
did all
seem so
wrong. I need to try
fun.
again.
Yeah, I'm like, did I miss something?
Right?
Probably did, since I always read it last minute.
It was so great. Oh my god.
Do you think it was intentionally like that, though? Like the over the top drama, do you think that was intentional, or do you think that was just how the writer writes?
I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it was probably accidental, and I think it's
I
something
wanna
they're
say
going to
accidental,
completely
yeah.
miss. I don't think it's going to be in the adaptation. I don't think it's going to be funny at all.
I think it's gonna be dead serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking from that trailer that I watched earlier today, it is not going to be funny unless they twist it on us, and then it is.
And it's a rom-com?
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
It'll be
Benedict
like
Wong, I've seen him in serious stuff, but like, I've also seen him in like Doctor Strange and how funny he can be in like that kind of a role. So like I don't know.
I think the first thing I saw him in was the IT Crowd, and he was like 20 something, and that
Oh,
was so funny.
Yeah, no, I think in my head it was a comedy, but I'm not expecting the show to be that way.
After they've released this series, they'll release like the canned laughter edit just for Steph.
I love it. I love it so much. Oh, so did anyone watch the movie Don't Look Up?
mhm.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
gave me that kind of vibe.
Yeah. No, you're
Okay.
saying that.
Except that was a comedy, actually. Like
This made me think of Snow Crash, and all this did is really made me want to reread Snow Crash.
Snow Crash?
Snow Crash is the best cyberpunk book ever written,
I've never read
and it's like, and considering it's such an early written sci-fi, and it has a POC protagonist as well, it's
Nice.
like it's so good. It's really cool.
Hmm.
Hi, that's my recommend for this video. If anybody takes anything away, go and read Snow Crash because it's
Okay.
freaking good.
Good to know.
Need to look it up.
Literally gonna go book shopping after this.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Shall we announce our this month's read,
Yes.
January? Do we know who's hosting January's?
I think it is me.
It is
Yay!
you.
Yes.
It is Jessa.
Woohoo! Does
Channels
anybody have a
will
copy?
all be linked below.
Yes. Does anyone have a copy and can read the synopsis or something?
I'll find the
Can
synopsis.
look it up.
Awesome. So our live show for the January one, if anyone is still watching, is going to be at the end of January. We're trying to stick to our last Sunday of the month at around the same time. So got about 3 weeks.
Yes.
I'm not going to wait till the last minute.
No.
No, I'm gonna start early, guys.
I'm like, I just got it on Libby, so we should be good.
So here's the blurb for Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. Claire Kovalik is days away from being unemployed, made obsolete, when her beacon repair crew picks up a strange distress signal. With nothing to lose and no desire to return to Earth, Claire and her team decide to investigate. What they find at the other end of the signal is a shock: the Aurora, a famous luxury space liner that vanished on its maiden tour of the solar system more than 20 years ago. A salvage claim like this could set Claire and her crew up for life, but a quick trip through the Aurora reveals something isn't right. Whispers in the dark, flickers of movement, words scrawled in blood. Claire must fight to hold on to her sanity and find out what really happened on the Aurora before she and her crew meet the same ghastly fate.
Ooh.
Mm.
Haunted
Is
House
this
of
a debut?
Instantly makes me think of Event Horizon.
Oh, fair.
Ooh. Yes,
So,
yes,
very
yes.
excited.
It's exciting. I love it. Yay!
I'm so excited.
Ready.
Right.
I'm ready for some like sci-fi that's really low mental effort.
Yeah.
Up
I think
to
that's
it.
that kind of
Give me
sci-fi.
some trash. Give me some trash.
Trash, yes. I feel like with this one, I've heard that people either absolutely love it or they're just like not with it. So
All right.
see where that goes.
We had the whole
I'm glad we have
range in here.
both.
Yeah.
Cool beans.
Cool.
Woo,
So
we
I think
did it.
that's it. And we are doing it on the 28th.
Yes.
Is the date on Jess's channel. Stuff will be linked in the description below when this goes up. But yeah, I think that's it. Anybody else? Anything to add?
I think that's
No.
it.
I think we did pretty good. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody in the comments. And we'll see you at the end of the month for the January live show.
Woo. Bye.
Yay!
Thanks for coming.